mate, a long list of names potentially coming back this week. Do you know yet how many of kind of those players you're expecting to get back? Obviously, I said long list: Shuey, Allen, Yo, Cripps, Kelly, Samo. Do you know how many of those boys are set to play?
Mate, I'm not sure yet, but you are right. It's been a crazy year. There's been numerous ins and outs each week, so I think we'll be expecting to have between 4 and 6 ins this week of the names you mentioned, and we'll get a clearer picture of that after training tonight.
Obviously, outside of those boys, you're covering the obvious loss of Nick Nat. How's the kind of news been received by the team that he'll be missing around 3 months? How's that kind of affected you, and how big of an out is that really?
Yeah, look, mate, it's devastating. We're all really feeling for Nick, especially given his history with knee injuries. But anyone who knows him can attest to the fact that he's taken it with great attitude, and we're just trying to support him and get him through this rehab period and back onto the field in hopefully sort of 8 to 10 weeks and get him back firing, because he's one of our really, really important players.
Is there an obvious replacement for him straight away? Obviously, Bailey Williams has done that job a little bit. Hugh Dixon did a good job on the weekend, and Stranaticus seems like he's pretty close. Do you think there's an obvious replacement there?
Mate, I think all those three boys will look like they'll get an opportunity, I'd say. Stranaticus come in and impressed with his competitiveness. Hugh Dixon looks like a natural footballer. And as you say, Bailey Williams has had 3 or 4 years in the system now, so he's really maturing, and it's been a little bit reflective of how year's gone so far. So I think that it'll be good to see those boys get an opportunity in Nick's absence.
And is Stranatica physically, is he ready to play? Do you know if he's available this week? He obviously played some waffle minutes last weekend.
I'm not sure if he's up for selection from match committee, but if it's not this one, it's immediately following turns. As you say, he's played some minutes. He's looking competitive out there. So I'm sure if you asked him, he'd be putting his hand up, no doubt.
And obviously, there was a few small concerns on the track the other day. Gov and Willie look like they're managing maybe some corks. Are they all good for this weekend?
I haven't spoken to them directly, mate, but knowing those two, they just probably would have liked a bit of a light Monday. Just wanted to get the legs just ticking over, I would have thought.
How good was the win on the weekend, Tom?
Yeah, it was really important to bring the 4 points home. We put on a lot of work. There's a big body of work gone into this, and dealing with adversity through the first 3 weeks of the season can really tax you, and so it was important that we tried to stay level-headed, and we're really proud collectively of the effort that we'll be able to bring, and we were able to produce on the weekend, bring home the win, but it's just a start. We're hoping to really build on that and see more evidence of our game plan once we get more continuity through selection and through the rounds building throughout the year.
And what have you made of Jeremy McGovern's return to form? He seems to be playing as well as he ever has.
Gov's been great. He's really relished the responsibility of being a leader down the back line, and I think it's been built off the way he's approached his pre-season, so I've got to give a lot of credit to my buddy Gov. He's really doing us proud in the way he's leading and the way he's playing down back there, as you say.
Tom, I'll jump in. Yourself, mate, missed a couple of games in protocols. How did you feel physically on the weekend in your return?
Mate, I felt good. I was blowing in the first quarter, which is nothing new, but I had another little week off as my family hadn't fully recovered from the virus, and so I think that extra couple of days served me well. I know a few of the boys were a little bit fatigued in the weeks previous, but I was lucky enough to have that extra week, and so it's a new problem of the modern game, I suppose, trying to manage that recovery from COVID as it is another injury, and so we'll see more blokes getting more opportunities and probably quite a conservative approach being taken with the recovery from the virus this year.
Just on Friday's game, I remember back to 2018, the first game at Optus up against Buddy Franklin. He kicked 8. You breathe a sigh of relief that he's not playing this Friday?
I suppose, mate, yeah, you're always, as a team, you're not happy that opposition players have hurt themselves, but you want to have a stronger team in the opposition, and if that means Buddy Franklin's not playing, that's good. But you know, I'd also love another opportunity to test myself against him. That's what I do as a fullback, and he's still at the top of the list in terms of high quality key forward. And so as much as it's good for our side that he's not playing, it's still an opportunity that I missed out on to test myself against the best players in Australia.
Tommy, just a quick one. Jack Darling obviously kicked 3 goals on the weekend. He struggled a little bit. He's kind of returned back to the club and the side, but that must give him a massive confidence boost, and you must be confident yourself that now he's found that switch and he's clicked into gear.
Yeah, for sure. It was always going to take a week or two to wrap his head back around what we're doing with our system and his role. But I think, again, he's someone who deserves a bit of credit with the way he's approached his training in the last few weeks. And I think we'll continue to start seeing that flourish on field and to see the results come his way, because he does approach his training in a really consistent and diligent manner, and it's something he should be happy with.
Tommy, have you enjoyed your little foray up forward, and is it something you'd like to do more of, or do you feel like you've had enough of a taste? Where do you see the mix?
I suppose the way I see it is it hasn't happened yet. I was lucky enough to have a bit of time there in the pre-season to prepare in the case of some COVID emergencies, and I really enjoyed having a look at the game at the other end, and learnt a few things, certainly. So I would love to continue developing my craft as a forward and as a back. It's just whether or not I get the opportunity, and fingers crossed that'll happen one day.
And left field, how's the green thumb? Is it going back a little while now? You mentioned, you found some pleasure working in the garden. Is that something you're stuck with?
Yeah, the garden's looking good, mate. There's a nice heavy rain last night, so hopefully, yield a few nice flowers in the coming weeks, Stevie.
Just a quick one. Elliot Yeo, Tom, last year, on his comeback in the last few years, he's maybe sometimes looked like he's come back a week early into the senior side. Do you think he's ready to come back this week and have an impact and be somewhere close to his best?
Look, I think Yoey's a player that takes time to build, as you say, and whether or not he's had enough time with the way his pre-season's panned out, I'm not sure. But what I can tell you is his competitive instinct will be there, and the other boys that will be around him if he plays will be holding him accountable to his role. And so I think we'll certainly see some of the strengths Elliot Yeo can bring to our side this weekend if he does play.
And can you fit Jamie Cripps in with your Willie Rioli there, Liam Ryan, back in flying? All three of them haven't played in the side together in a long time. Is there room for all three of those guys in the forward line?
Yeah, absolutely, Turns. You can fit Jamie Cripps in anywhere if you ask me. He's one of our hardest working players, one of our most compliant players, and he flies under the radar, doesn't often get the praise because he's not front and centre doing the flashy things, but Jamie Cripps has been arguably one of the most important players of our team over the last 5 to 8 years. So I'm really confident he'll slot back in there with those other 3 or 4 boys that you mentioned, and hopefully they can bring each other's strengths out.
Tom, we talk about the players coming in, but on the flip side, there's going to be a few players pretty stiff this week. What's the message to them that are coming out of the side after such a good performance against the Pies?
Yes, great question, and it's a bit of a shame in football sometimes when you have to players go out of the side because there's players that are proven coming back in despite having done nothing wrong, and in fact sometimes setting a really good example about playing their roles for the team. And so I think the direction is to keep rewarding those role-driven behaviours, the energy and intent that they bring to training, the tangible stuff that is process-driven to drive those outcomes, because as I mentioned before, there's really good opportunity, especially this year, to be able to showcase your skills at AFL level.
Tommy, a bit of a left field one, whether you're in a position to answer this one or not, but obviously some pretty big news around the league today with Gil McLaughlin stepping down. You came into the league as a player the same year he came in as CEO. What do you think his impact's been on the game? And from a player's standpoint, do you think he's left it in a really good position for you as players?
I was unsure about the news about Gil, to be honest, Tern, so I don't have much prepared other than he's done a great job of progressing the business over the last number of years, and it'd be sad to see him go.
Tom, you guys got a pretty big month coming up with the Swans, Tigers, Brisbane Demons, just to name a few. You've only won one game for the season due to some unfortunate circumstances. How big of a task is it to get some wins under your belt?
Look, it's a massive task. You know, the season and the competition is at such a high level that you cannot be marginally off, and we found that out in the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season. And so that'll be our messaging, is to keep trying to continue to show evidence of our game style and the way we play, and good ferocious contest work, regardless of the team, regardless of the circumstances. And so that'll be what we continue to try and do, regardless of who the opponent is in the next little while.
Is it pretty exciting to hopefully have a full packed house at Optus Stadium on a massive Friday night?
For sure, mate. We've been missing the fans at the footy, and we cannot wait to have them back.